Good morning and welcome to the Lady Do build site. It's another frosty Saturday morning and I'm out here bright and early to get started on the boat. I had a nephew Bobby show up today and he wanted a tour of the boat of what's going on so far. So we decided to go ahead and do it on camera because I don't know that any of my subscribers have seen the whole boat or gotten a tour or really gotten an idea of the whole overall thing. So we'll do that real quick, get everybody up to date and caught up with where everything is, where everything's going, and then we'll get started building. Okay, so we climbed up into the aft cabin. This is Station 30. It's a bulkhead. It is the aft portion or the back portion of the engine room, and it's the forward portion of the cabin. It's 1/4-inch plate steel, and it will be watertight, so that flooding in either area can be stemmed and not flood another area. This portion of the cabin, I don't know if you can see this area here, there's where the stringer's already cut. That will be a 30-inch hatch for loading and, well, for skylights, of course, lighting, ventilation. But it's a 30-inch so that if I need to load an appliance, I can, or whatever. It's big enough to drop something into the boat, being other areas are going to be harder to get through. On this side here, each one of these spots will have a hatch in it, or port, window, whatever you want to call it. I still don't have the shear pipe in. The shear pipe will be running along this edge, but it's still got to go in. So from there to the shear pipe, I'll have ports or windows. From there down, I'm going to come out about 18 inches down the length, and that'll be clothing storage and other storage that I may need. So aft cabin goes from 30 to approximately Station 42, which is right here. So this is Station 42, and from here to the transom, and the transom is 3/8-inch plate steel. There'll be a bulkhead, a wooden bulkhead here, and aft of it will be steerage and more storage. So the cabin itself will go from Station 42 to Station 30, and I'm planning on putting the bed, the bunk, in the middle, approximately queen sized, with a board down the middle so that if there's two people in it, one don't sleep on top of the other. If the boat's rocking and rolling, it'll keep them separated so they both can sleep. The decks in here will be steel, and to get to the area between the deck and the bottom of the boat will be more watertight hatches, but I plan on simplifying those quite a bit compared to what these are, because they won't be opened as often. Now, continuing forward, okay, so now we're on the port side of the aft cabin. Again, we'll have storage from the ladder. This is a temporary ladder. It's not permanent. I'll do a nice ladder when the woodworking goes in. This one's here strictly so I can move about the boat a bit and not have to ladder everything. So we put in some temporary ladders just to move about. So there will be more storage below, of course, ports or windows above. There won't be any hanging lockers, because hanging lockers on a rocking boat means your clothes are going to be rocking constantly and they'll be threadbare in no time from rubbing up against each other. So we just skip it and use cubby hole storage along the bottom for that. Right here will probably be a desk so that writing, laptops, navigation, you know, when they were in port, whatever can be done there. And then going up above, this ladder goes into the pilot house. So we'll go up into the pilot house. Okay, so we just came up into the pilot house from the aft cabin. This is the ladder we did it in. Up here will, of course, is steerage. I'll put the helm square in the middle on the front bulkhead there. Aft of this area, this is all temporary right at the moment, not the frames themselves, but some of this stuff is all temporary. It's just holding it into place until I can get up here. I can't get up here until I got the aft deck on and the forward deck on. At that point, I can put the aft bulkhead on the pilot house. It's a little more, we'll call it 2.5 feet off of this aft. There'll be 5 ports or windows in it. And on top of this section, which is the deck of the aft cabin, and this bulkhead, aft bulkhead, will be a pilot berth for me when I'm at sea. If I'm alone, I can poke my head up and make sure everything's going well. If I'm not alone and somebody else is standing watch, then they can wake me up. Port windows, 5 of them across the back, 1 on each side, and then 1 here. This area over here will be the main hatch to enter the boat. On both sides there'll be one. The ports up here, or the windows, whatever you want to call them, will be about 18 inches wide and about 30 inches tall. They'll be fairly large, but I'll use 1/2 inch plexiglass, Lexan, acrylic. I haven't quite decided yet, but they will be stout. So any incoming waves ain't going to blow out my windows. I want them very stout. All ports on this boat will be very stout. Continuing forward, like I said, we'll have, this is the ladder going down into the forward cabin. This will be where the hatch or the main door coming into the boats will be right here, which is between station 24 and 27 on both sides. There'll be another port window here. I would like this hatch to be a Dutch sliding, meaning I want to be able to slide it back because I don't have enough room to swing it out, and I don't want to swing them in. So I'd like it to be a sliding door. And when I say a Dutch door, that means the top half can slide independent of the bottom half. And I'd like to be able to do that so that I could have ventilation and such. Right now, I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. So if any of you guys have ideas or suggestions on how I might be able to pull off a watertight Dutch sliding door, I'm definitely interested in hearing your ideas. I got a few, but they seem so complicated, and I don't want complicated. I want simple. I got to be able to maintain this boat for the rest of my life out in the middle of the water if I need to, and dealing with complicated stuff isn't high on my list of priorities. So moving forward, there will be a ladder going forward. The forward section of this area, the pilot house, this is temporary, of course, just to keep these from flopping around until I get to that point. But there will be a plating that goes almost out to that frame, which is 3 feet away, and it'll curve back to each side, and I'll have 5 more 18 by 30 inch windows up there, ports. The helm will be directly center, so I'll have plenty of room for electronics, gauges, whatever I need to do there. I'll probably put radios high and navigation low. Let's see, compass, so on and so forth. This hatch down here, which is kind of covered up by this plate because we're doing some welding, but there's a hatch right here. It is directly over the engine. There will be another identical one to that one above in the pilot house ceiling. The intention is that we can remove both hatches and lift the motor out of the boat and set it on the pier if we need to get it repaired or rebuilt years down the line. The mast will go up right in this area, and I'll be able to use the boom off the mast to lift the motor. That's how I'm going to set up those items. And the boom will be long enough and stout enough to lift the motor out of the boat, above the pilot house, swing it over to a dock, and set it down. Hopefully won't ever need to do that, but I want the ability to do it if I need to. All right, let's go forward. Okay, so this is the forward cabin. The ladder coming out of the pilot house right here. Between station 24 and 18 will be the galley. I'll do cabinets above and lower cabinets all along here, across the front, and then a short distance this way, and you'll see why later. I want these cabinets fairly tight to the person. That way a person can jam their feet right here and cook or clean dishes or whatever you got to do without being thrown around the boat. It's closer to uh, the center of gravity of the boat, so, or the roll center, so that it should be one of the smoother and less rolly places on the boat. Again, because I like eating, I want to keep the cook happy. um, so yeah, all cabinets here. There'll be another 30-inch hatch here for moving stuff, whatever it may be. On this side, from the steps, you'll see the area where the trunk comes down and then goes out for the forward deck. I'm going to go straight down with my interior, and inside of this will all be storage on both sides of the boat. And so I'll have that much storage down the length of the boat on both sides. I'll have port windows, just like the ones on the in the aft cabin. I'll have more of them here, all along both sides, so I can get plenty of lighting. I don't know how many of them will be openable. I am more interested in the hatches being able to open and ventilate the hatches, and I'm contemplating in some Dorad vents. But opening these just seem like they're going to be a leak point and cause me problems later. So right now, I'm thinking they're not going to be vent spaces. So moving forward, between station 18 and 12 will be the salon or living room. I'll put bench seating and a table on that side, and storage on this side with room to walk. Basically all this side's going to be. And then moving forward, okay, on station 12, I'll do a wooden bulkhead all the way across to separate this area from the head. There'll be a single, fairly narrow door in there, non-watertight, because it's just going to be a plywood bulkhead. Once you get back up in here, on this side of the bulkhead in the head area, I'll have a shower tub kind of situation here. It's not going to be a normal tub. You'll have to crunch up quite a bit because I ain't putting a full-size tub in here. But the shower is going to be deep enough that if a person had the extra fresh water, and I'm still contemplating a method of heating salt water for showers and baths, but that's another topic entirely. Then you could fill it with warm or hot, fresh or salt water and take a bath if you wanted to. So the shower will be deep enough to get a decent bath. This side will be vanity for chick stuff. And then a head right here, or you know what that's for. All right, there'll be two round ports here, again, non-openable, but for light. And because the head's here, there'll be a small 10-inch hatch here for ventilating. Forward of 6, between 6 and 3, will be the washer-dryer combination. They make units that have the washer and the dryer in the same tub. And I will basically get one and do what I have to do to convert it to 12 volt, or if they already exist, I'll get one of those to do laundry. I'm not expecting a lot of laundry. I mean, how many Speedos can you go through in a week? On each side of that, of course, is still storage. Forward to that, we got station 3 with a hatch in it. That's going to be a bolted on hatch. Very rarely will it be opened, because forward of this is the bosun's locker or the chain locker, and I don't see a reason to be having a quick acting hatch on there. Instead, it'll be a bolted one. If the chain gets all tangled up and I have to get into it, it's going to be a bear anyways to get in there to move everything out, open this up and untangle the chain. So it's just going to be a bolted on hatch to get to the anchor chain if I have to. All right, let's go below and we'll go over tanks and storage underneath decks. All right, so now we're on the forward section. We're going to talk about the forward section of the boat and below decks. Of course, this is chain locker area. Pardon me. Of course, this is chain locker area for anchor chain. From station 3, which is a collision bulkhead, to sixth will be my black water tank. I don't remember what the capacity is in that, but it's the black water tank for the rest of the boat. Between 6 and 18 is pure storage. I'll have hatches coming in from the forward cabin, galley, salon, head, dropping into each of these areas. So, and there's quite a bit of storage under here. So hopefully I can achieve my goal of having a year's supply of food and supplies and spare parts aboard at all time. And with that much storage, I think I can pull it off. Now, between 18 and 21 is going to be machinery space. I can't fit it all into my engine room. I don't have an engine room like SV Seeker's going to have. They have a great engine room. I've been in it. It's cool. I don't have that kind of space. So a lot of the machinery stuff is going to have to be moved out of the engine room. So I did go with a full plate on 18 below the decks to bulkhead it off. It's not watertight, but it is an area where I can mount gear, water makers, inverters, hot water heaters, all that stuff is going to be in this area. If I can squeeze a generator in there, I might, but I don't think I'll be able to. From station 21 to 24 is my water tanks below. There's 600 gallons of water. Again, trying to desperately have a year's supply of goods on board for 2 people. 600 gallons is a little light for 2 people, but I'll also have a water maker jammed in the machinery space to help. Well, water maker, I'm actually thinking about a vacuum distiller, but that's another project too. So anyways, 600 gallons of fuel between these 2 stations. I did leave a 12-inch tunnel in between the engine room, well, this plate and this plate, so I can run plumbing, electrical, hydraulics, whatever I got to run, and they don't have to run through a water tank. So there's actually a tunnel in there for putting all that. The tanks are baffled, so I don't have rolling issues. Between 21 or 24, between 24 and 27 is a fuel tank, and between 27 and 30 is a fuel tank. Within, I think I left myself 48 inches on each side of the center line for the engine room. So I got 8 feet in for engine space, and we're gonna try to get that filmed up for you guys too. But that's a tight space in there, so I'm not sure how much we're gonna be able to get. All right, so from station 30, which is the aft station of the engine room, to the transom, above the deck is, of course, the stateroom. Below the deck is pure storage. There's nothing else going to be in there but storage. Food, supplies, spare parts. Then from station 42 to transom is, of course, like I've explained earlier, steerage. That's it. Okay. So this is the engine room. It's tight quarters. I only have 6 feet in length, and it's a little less than 8 feet wide. So it's tough to shoot anything in here. So we'll do our best. Again, there'll be a hatch right here for taking the engine out of the boat and getting it rebuilt to shore if needed. This is my engine. It's a John Deere 4045. I specifically found it so it had no electronics and no turbo. My intent, or what I want, is that the engine room can flood and this thing will still keep on picking over if I need it to. The fuel tanks encompass the whole, both sides. They are from the bottom to the top. Out is nothing but fuel tanks. I'll set brackets upon them so that I can route my plumbing and electrical down both sides without drilling directly into the fuel tanks, but they are what they are. I want enough fuel to cross the Pacific Ocean with a 10% reserve. So with those, I'll have 1,500 gallons. Then this is an 8-inch deep day tank. About 50 gallons of fuel in this, and it will be gravity fed to the motor, so I don't even need a fuel pump to get the fuel to the engine. So my daily routine would be to pump fuel out of the 4 main fuel tanks through some heavy duty micro filtering fuel filters up into the day tank. The day tank will have another fuel filter just in case that will allow gravity feed into the motor, and of course the motor has a fuel filter, but it's there. I'll keep it maintained, but I don't ever want any contaminants to get to that filter. I want it all filtered before it even gets to the motor. There is enough room. I'm actually standing where I am is going to be the sole of the engine room, the deck of the engine room. And so as you can see, I'll be able to get down under here and easily work on the bottom, back, side, any part of this engine that I need to, even if we're rocking and rolling out in a seaway. There is a drain plug on the aft side of the oil pan, so draining oil is going to be a breeze, and these ain't going to get in the way. Even if I didn't have that, I still have, let's see here, it looks like about 4 inches between the side drain plug and the engine bed. So plenty of room. That side will be house batteries, starting batteries. This side's going to be left open. I know with all the batteries being on one side, I'm going to possibly have a balance issue. I'll have to deal with that if it becomes too much of a problem with shifting fuel, holding more fuel in this tank than in those tanks to balance it out. Or I'll be shifting house batteries up into the engine or that mechanical space I showed you earlier forward. So that's the boat. I hope that got you a better idea of what Lady Do is going to look like, how she's going to be put together, and how things are configured. None of this is set in stone. When I get to it, I will fine tune as necessary because I've never done this before. I've got it all designed in 3D CAD, and I've even got it in virtual reality so I could do walkthroughs. But until I'm standing here looking at it, I don't know for sure. So I'll adjust things as I need to. It's the way things work. Hope you enjoyed the virtual tour. Hope it answered some of your questions and gave you an idea of what the boat's going to look like. Thanks.